Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, Papa Pacelli.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I've been here. The prodigal aged boomer has returned.
Okay, for starters, I was worried that I was expecting Mr. Matchstick to make that mistake. You did. What does prodigal mean? Many people think it's wandering. It means wasteful.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's gone and hasn't been here, and he has returned.
I was just playing the video games these past 2 weeks, saying I don't need to stream. Screw my audience. Screw Troy here. I can just party all the time.
That's what I figured.
Yes.
No, seriously though, I've been keeping everybody up to date and letting everyone know because people have been asking and been concerned, and to the best of my ability, I've told them what's been going on. But
I still don't know what's been going on. Hurricane Ian hit.
Yes, it did.
Last time you heard me, I said there's some trepidation. There's a hurricane. You never know; it might hit us. We'll see. Oh, we got hit. We got hit bad.
The worst part was for those of us, paying attention on the interwebs. A lot of YouTubers were doing some live streaming. Well, not exactly live streaming, but like taking video footage they had access to, like time-lapse video over the span of a day as the hurricane was coming in. And it was kind of horrifying as we would see water literally pour into a street from a CC cam, and then it would just rise and rise and rise to the point that the water was literally, if you were a person standing on the street, it would have been over your head.
You're done.
Yeah.
Not that I'm gonna get too specific, though people will probably be able to figure it out. But I am a county worker. I was stationed at one of the shelters where we bring people in, and it's just. And
I was just basically telling everybody what a heroic person you were, how you were called on to lead a shelter floor to care for other people during the crisis.
People to rooms. It was. I gotta tell you. This was a creepy experience. It's still a creepy experience. It's like you could set a horror story in a hurricane aftermath. Because
I would imagine. It sounds like the kind of thing maybe you should start writing. You could be published.
Like I said, I'm doing okay. What am I talking about here? Okay, shelter, and I'm telling you. Sheets and sheets of water. That's the only thing I can describe pouring down. Yeah. And it wouldn't stop. Like we've had hurricanes before, but they usually leave. This just wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
It's like, and I was at the shelter, and the shelter got damaged. I mean, there was stuff that happened there, and I'm terrified about my street. Finally, I heard from my sister the next day who decided to hunker down in the house, and I'm telling you, the street, it got flooded. We got some flooding in the house. I mean,
wait, your sister stayed in the house?
Maybe I should be saying this over the air.
Well, we don't know who your sister is. We don't know where you live, so
I know. But
the only one who's going to get mad at you is your sister if she listens.
So let's not. Maybe I should. Anyway, the house didn't get flooded. It got a little flooded. It got like a foot of water in there. It receded. The street got flooded. House can be saved. FEMA checked on it. It can be saved. So actually, I don't know how much of this I should be saying over there. I'm flummoxed, but yeah. But had to lost a lot of stuff in the process.
Yeah, I heard you lost a lot of comics.
Yes, they're gone.
That's killer. That is killer.
Well, move on. It's anyway. Let's say hi to the chat. Okay.
Yep. Let's say hi to the chat.
Deleted scenes, welcome.
Yep.
This time
David Pensack. Yeah. Netter. And age and soundtracks. Yes, I love you too, Netter. Daniel Aaron, soundtrack with Birdman.
Welcome, Birdman. I do apologize for not being able to make it to our weekly streams. I have not had internet at the main house. That's the big reason. I mean, also I've been very busy, but the main reason is no internet. Should we ever get internet back at the main house, it might be a possibility for me to come back on with you again. But I'll play it by ear. I'm sure you understand. I feel bad about missing out. I think Al's been filling in for me though, so go ahead and check those out. I I've been out of the loop because I've not had internet. It's crazy. I've had limited internet on my phone, and I have to tell you, I'm switching over to an iPhone when all this is over. Android. Okay, never mind. I'm going to stop complaining. Hail, Aged Boomer. Hail, everybody. But yeah, what am I sipping on? I have myself a smart water here because this is not my house. So if I'm doing this from a bedroom, I'm not going to bring in. I'll bring in a water, but I'm not going to bring in anything.
Assuming that wasn't a typo, I'm simping on Netter. But if you're asking what I'm sipping on, it's a diet grapefruit soda.
Who am I simping on these days? I'm sorry. No, wait a minute.
If it's a celebrity, hopefully it's one that doesn't talk too much about their personal politics. Tend to get less attractive when they start doing that.
I have to tell you, I mean, at some point, I do want to do a Hurricane Ian thing on your own channel.
Yeah.
For the fact
I'd love that.
Since I've been gone, I do appreciate you doing the streams on your channel because at least you're kind of keeping my audience. Because I worry, you leave your channel alone too long, the audience may say, "Hey, this Doomcock guy's interesting. Whoever else is on."
Yeah.
Boomer don't care. Why should I? But that's not the reason. I just have not been able to get to the internet. You have to understand the internet's important.
Yep.
These things, these devices.
It has. Of course, we come from an era before there was internet. How did we manage before there was internet? But now, it's become an integral part of our lives.
Yeah. Let's see. Hi, Netter.
And then deleted scenes drops all the awesome links because he's awesome.
Zootopia, welcome.
Yep. And I think that catches us up.
Okay. For me, it's classic Boomerang.
I don't know what that is. Is that a soft drink of some kind?
Is that the cartoon channel?
Don't know.
Anyway.
Yes, but, yeah.
I'm telling you, man, it's like something, I don't want to say it's like something out of a zombie apocalypse, but it's like something out of some kind of an apocalypse.
Yeah.
There is not a street sign that is upright in my town. They're all crinkled. They're like face down. That's how bad the woods were. Now, our roof was okay for the most part because we had it done recently, like in the past year or so. And it had time to set in. But like I said, flooding.
And windows? Windows were okay?
Windows were okay. We put up the storm shutters. It's funny. Weekend prior, I was hustling and I was getting everything up. I was getting all the storm shutters up. The garage door brackets were being put up. Yeah. Another thing you can do in a hurricane, if you have an actual cars in your garage, you can park them up against the door. That usually helps too. But
okay.
Garage brackets, and I was bunkering down, and my big hope was that this would be much ado about nothing.
Yeah.
But I figure prepare for the worst. That way, nothing bad will happen. And then
it sounds like you prepared appropriately.
Yes, but you can never prepare enough. That's the problem. But
well, do you have any takeaways? Any what did you learn?
What have I learned from this? Obviously, family, most important thing. Family is safe.
There you go.
And by some miracle, I think the house can be saved. It's going to need some remodeling. We're probably going to have to find another place to stay once this thing is up too. I'm not going to say it doesn't suck to lose things. It does. But I didn't lose everything. And like I said, family's safe, and I have to
something I've learned from not we, knock on wood, haven't had any problems with flooding here in our house, but my mother has. Very important to consider where are the low points, where is the flooding going to be, and anything that might absorb water, any paper products, any wood products, get them up and out of that. If you have a box sitting on the ground, maybe think about putting it on top of a plastic milk crate or something like that.
Cardboard is the enemy. That's a takeaway I have from this. Cardboard is bad.
Yep.
Birdman, yes, the Conan comics, I believe, have survived. They're in a safe plastic tub right now. We'll see. I'll check on them at some point in the future, but I think
so. That's the other thing. It's very easy to get large plastic bins that you can keep things in to keep them dry.
Well, right now I'm using banker boxes that we did get some plastic bins too, because I just got to get my stuff into storage and out of there.
Yeah, I get that.
And throwing out the stuff that got damaged, and it's just it's pretty Let me see. If you find any of your physical media collection replaced, let us know. We'll make you whole. Oh, thank you. To be honest
Yeah.
with you, the physical media collection wasn't as bad as it could have been.
Hmm.
I mean, I did lose some stuff, albeit, it wasn't completely, I'll
Things
bring up
like
my.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say things like DVDs are probably going to be okay, but videotapes,
No,
not so
I have
much.
to say, CDs, when they're submerged underwater, they start to get these weird bumps on them.
Oh, do they? Okay.
Blu-rays I was able to rescue. The cases are crap, but I'll put them in a CD packet, like one of those old CD
Sure.
holders. Blu-rays are
Hmm.
actually Blu-rays can survive a lot of stuff. Like I don't like putting DVDs in those old CD packets. You know them what I'm talking about. You take
Right.
them,
Hmm.
you bring it on the car ride, have a big
Sure.
thing of CDs in your car. Look for the right CD. When not look, then you go over the cliff and crash. I'm sorry. That's why we love the iPod anyway.
Do you have some sort of a portable way of charging up your phone? Like you can get like a dynamo crank.
We do at the house. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't have that with me, and when we lost power, you know, I was out in the shelter, and I had to think of creative ways to power up myself. So we can charge it
Yeah.
in your car. You can
Yep.
charge it on your computer. You can't use the computer for the internet anyway. Might as well use it as a charging station. So I thought of many
True.
clever ways. I'm telling you though, it's still the town is still.
Yep.
We have tons of garbage out by the curb that we've been moldy stuff that we don't get rid of the house, and garbage pickers show up sometimes,
Hmm.
really obnoxious, and it's like you have to chase them off. Like go away, stuff's rancid water, mold, get out of here. And
Right.
they still come, and it's like our little street. It's
Yeah.
like people are speeding down it like there's no tomorrow because it leads off to one of the main roads, and usually we have people on it, but it's just been crazy. And we're still waiting for the big trash pickup because
I would
apparently the
imagine.
big dumpster where all the trash had to go to that got destroyed in the hurricane.
Gosh.
So
Wow.
it's all around. There were down cables on streets. Like
I would
I
imagine. Yeah.
amazed going to a coworker's house because she was letting me use her electricity to charge like these super batteries with, and just
Hmm.
going over, just trying to get to her house one day. It's like a maze because like there are all these down wires, construction guys all over the place, and I'm telling you, the road signs are still down, stop signs on their side crumpled. It's a mess. They asked one guy. I've heard when some guy said hey, what's it like out there? And then the guy said Hiroshima. you know,
I would imagine. I mean, without the radiation and burning, it's otherwise probably the same kind of physical destruction.
I mean, hurricanes are odd because I don't think they're as sexy as like other disaster things. Like tornadoes are interesting. It's a big funnel. Then you have
Well,
earthquakes.
I don't know. I mean, you got the same kind of wind damage that you would have from a tornado, but you've also got the flooding and
Look at it, yeah.
over a protracted period of time. That could be days that you're in that hurricane as opposed to the tornado minutes. It hits you hard, and then it's gone.
Sounds like us after Hugo in '89. I have to tell you,
Hmm.
ladies, when you live in any area that's hurricane prone, and you go through each season, and last year it's like we didn't get hit. Like a couple of years ago, I think there was Irma, and that was a scare, but we were okay. Even during Charlie, we were okay. I mean, some of the other places around my area weren't, but we actually made it out scot-free on that. The lawn shed fell apart. That was the most damage. This
Yeah.
time, like the whole screen and pool area, that's all destroyed. It's that's why we have insurance. But again, I don't know how much of this stuff I should be sharing over the air because who knows if there's like some contractual thing. But yeah.
But considering that's not connected to you directly, I mean,
No,
I
it is.
would imagine you're
Take
speaking ambiguously enough. I don't think it matters. It's just what you feel comfortable sharing with your listeners.
I'm just having a TV. We have like a general TV in the house, but it's not my own personal TV. So
Right.
Whatever. I have a computer. I have internet. That's good enough for now.
There you go. There you go.
I'll say this: a lot of the portable technology we have these days is a lot better than it used to be.
Right.
In the old days, I remember when I was a little kid, I had to save up. I saved up to $100 for a portable TV, and it wasn't all that interesting when it was said and done. But like now,
Yeah.
you have you got laptops and tablets and all sorts of things to keep you entertained, even if you don't have. Though I do like a nice big TV to watch stuff on. But yeah. Anyway, I appreciate all the well wishes. I do appreciate y'all having patience with me as I was out, and thank you again to Troy and Annette Pacelli for having those streams. And I am sorry
You
if that
bet.
we don't make it into those Friday streams. I do want to get back into doing that. You know, being
No worries. No worries.
designated driver, because I know what's been going on without me on those streams. Have you been? I don't know. Have you been saying? Have you been like cussing and yelling at the little SOBs and stuff like
No. It's been guest streams, so it's been kind of. I did kind of miss you when I had on Brandon the anime guy. That would have been a great one to have.
Oh,
you
it sucks. I could have talked about anime. It's weird because anime fans, we're all fans, but we all have different tastes and see things differently. Like, I'm more into like the older anime. I do watch the new stuff, so I'm not disclosing, but I do like some of the older stuff.
I did have to. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you could use the time without a TV to enjoy not watching The Rings of Power. Thank you.
Well, there you go. Good point. I did have to edit down that the Brandon one because it got hit because he was sharing some clips, some not clips, but promos for some anime, and one of the companies.
Anime companies are really bad. I remember I was gonna Mr. Matstick's Culture Fortress. I was gonna do a Studio Ghibli. Watch that, and then I realized Studio Ghibli is awful. I think even if I showed images, not even footage, they would still take it down off the channel.
Yeah,
great movie. Yeah. If you have HBO Max, they're all on there too.
But there was a couple, and you're going to need to watch it and tell me what your thoughts are on the shows he was talking to me about.
I'm going to catch up a lot. I mean, my favorite anime character is Lupin the Third, and I think I mentioned him last time.
He was talking about a couple shows, and the ones that I found most interesting that I would have been inclined to go check out were not, hit by a claim of any kind. So I can't even remember the one that I had to take down now. I took the clip out, never even watched it, and I'm like, well, I don't remember what it was, but if I knew, I'd definitely not be watching it. I'm certainly not going to patronize someone that's, that big an ass, but, whatever.
Okay. All you missed were the finales of She-Hulk and Rings of Power. Did you hear about the She-Hulk finale, Troy?
Yeah. There's been a lot about that. It's kind of glad I missed that one. I think I've been dodging enough bullets by not going and watching and consuming any of the Marvel Universe anymore. I'm pretty much done with it.
I don't understand what they're doing.
I mean, just today, Midnight's Edge did a post-mortem on it. Basically saying it doesn't look like there's going to be a second season for this show because the whole show is literally a fuck you to the fans. And without fans, you don't have a show. Surprise, surprise. So
I find it odd because Disney does Disney have the rights back to the Hulk, or is that still owned by Universal?
Yep. They have the rights to the Hulk back, but they don't want to use anything savage or anything, toxic. They would rather focus on a She-Hulk that we all used to love, but then they decided to turn her into, a fourth wave Karen, and nobody likes her anymore. This is not the She-Hulk that we've known from the 80s and 90s. So I actually did a whole segment on that last week about the whole thing about them lampooning Doomcock in a recent She-Hulk episode.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go check it out.
So they're aware of the criticism out there.
They sure are. They sure are. But they very skewed impression of what people are actually saying and what the actual critiques are. To them, it's all I hate women and there shouldn't be a She-Hulk because she's a woman. She can't be a hero. And it's like nobody is saying that. Literally nobody is saying that.
They attacked us openly. I won't be reviewing Marvel content on my channel. It's not worth my time. I'm starting to
Good,
think anything from the mouse. I don't think anything from the mouse is becoming worth the time. I mean, maybe there's I don't know how the final season of Mandalorian is going to turn out because I don't know.
I didn't watch Obi-Wan. I didn't watch any of Andor. And guys, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that would say, oh, but it's good. It really is good. It's worth watching. I'm sorry. I have no interest in giving any money to Disney at this point. Seriously. For a number of reasons. As long as they continue to support the things they support, I cannot support them. Because tacitly, I would be supporting those things. Just saying.
Hello, the chat just came from Oak and My Podcast where I reviewed a fun book. What are we talking about? We were talking about the Disney Marvel. And
we started out by talking about Hurricane Ian, but now we're talking about Hurricane Marvel.
We'll talk more. You have to be blunt. I have to be blunt here. I'm still living Hurricane Ian.
I
know for the media and everybody else to be gone, but it's like until not even just my house, until my community, my area is restored or at least has some functionality back to it, I'm still there. I'm going to finally be going back to work for the first time. We'll see how that's turned out.
Like you haven't been working all this time, really.
Oh, I have been. No, this has not been a vacation. This has not been a vacation.
I know.
Even today, the quote-unquote relaxing, this will be working on the presentation for the library. But
hello, Stephen Ransom. Thanks for stopping by. You are so encouraging in your comments, after the show and whatnot. Super, super appreciate you, my friend. You're awesome.
D. Pensek asks, would you watch a fan edit of Obi-Wan?
I mean, I guess it depends on who the fan was and what was being edited. Honestly, I didn't hear anything come out of any of the commentaries about Obi-Wan that even explains to me why the show needed to exist. I don't feel like we got any lore that fleshed out his character or Luke's story or Leia's story or any of the story that we actually needed. Okay, we know where he left off after the Clone Wars. We know where he picks up again in A New Hope. We really didn't need, whatever it was they were doing with him.
Well, he had to be down and out for a while, and then had to have Leia inspire. I don't know. I didn't watch the show.
Zetopia says Andor must be the worst show put out recently because I have heard nothing about it, either good or bad. You can be loved or hated, but it's the worst to be ignored. Yeah, I think that a lot of the other shows took a lot of abuse for things that fans really didn't like, and I got the impression that Andor didn't have anything that people didn't like. And they'd say things like, "Oh, well, that's interesting." They gave Mon Mothma a little bit more character development, and they named her daughter, who was named in this one obscure book. So they're really doing their research to come up with that. But it's all stuff that's like, well, okay, that's nice, but nobody cares. And I'm not hearing anything. Again, it's another story that. Is this establishing anything that's necessary in a prequel leading up to the main Star Wars stories? If not, why are we doing it?
I keep having a suspicion that the show is going to be about them helping Palpatine's son and little baby Rey get them to safety or something, but maybe I'm wrong there.
Honestly, that's the one good thing I can say about everything they've done. They have purposely stayed away from anything that in any way acknowledges those sequel trilogies.
The finale is worth discussion as proof of dislike of the fan base. The AI of Kevin, the attitude of the writers is very telling. Yes, it's. Anyway,
yep.
I'm going to say this. Here's my takeaway. You wanted to take away from my experience. I'm going to get into
yes.
I hear rumblings, and you probably heard them too, because I know you probably go to certain channels, that the United States may be headed in for some bad times, and maybe Europe as well. It's probably expected. Energy crises, maybe if
we keep making the stupid decisions that our leadership has been making, it's going to get bad. It's going to get very, very bad.
As someone who's basically lived through some bad times the past few weeks, and like I said, there are people who've had it worse than me during this mess too. I'm In some respects, I've been very lucky or blessed. Just compared to, I got to tell you, one of the worst things was I was talking to this woman at one of the shelters I was staying at. Like I was leaving, and she had her little dog under the table, and he looked all like stressed out. Like I guess he was just relaxing, and I didn't realize she was in a house that got completely flooded, and she had to be rescued.
Yeah.
And you think about that, and it's like that's far worse than what I went through, and it's. I mean, but I will say this: going through these stressful times and stuff, I don't have time for bullshit, especially in entertainment. And if the rest of the country is going to start going through other similar things with maybe some things happening in the future, hard time. Like, think back. I mean, I didn't live during the Great Depression. I'm not that old, but my dad was a Depression baby. I heard stories about the Great Depression, and I'm sorry, when things are tough and times are tough, we don't care about being preached at this point. You either entertain us or go home.
Well, this is what I've said about so many of these things. People are bitching about pronouns and, representation. And it's like, these are fucking first world problems. These are not problems that people care about when they're trying to survive. Yeah, and honestly, there are people in this world trying to survive. Do you see these two dumb bitches that threw tomato soup on the Van Gogh and in protest of oil? Yeah, in protest of oil over in UK.
Well, yeah. They should be forced to pay for the Van Gogh now.
Well, they didn't do any serious damage because it's under glass, and then they super glued themselves to the wall, and it didn't really. I heard about
super glue, yeah. But
forgetting that the super glue they're using is made out of oil, and the everything that they have iPhones with them, and those iPhones, made of oil. Not to mention the cobalt and the lithium that's mined using oil, and not to mention the slave labor that goes into those. So you're okay with that, but we're going to try to destroy a Van Gogh. Yeah, exactly.
And what did Van Gogh do? There wasn't automobiles.
I think they believe because it was an in quotes oil painting. That's. Yeah.
Oh, give me a break.
But this is what I mean. First world problems. Only stupid, idle, basically, in terms of the world, rich people have time to sit around and think this kind of stupidity in order to protest this kind of stuff. Whereas there's people in the world protesting, you're taking my farm away and my ability to feed myself and the people around me.
Yeah. Yeah, this is another thing. Right after this hurricane, I decided, okay, I'm at home trying to help out the family, clear the stuff out, right? And I decided to go to the grocery store because there has to be food, right? So you need something to eat. We don't have a refrigerator now at the moment because they got destroyed. Because you can't reuse a refrigerator when rancid water gets caught in there. You can't put it back in.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll go to McDonald's. I'll go to Wendy's. Yeah. Oh no, they're all shut down. They're down. Okay.
Yeah.
What else is open? Let's go down to the local grocery store. You go in, and they're like bare shelves everywhere. And I finally got some of that pre-cooked bacon that's already in the thing.
Yeah.
And I thought, I go looking in the vegetable aisle. I found like a tomato. I mean, it's like the food shortages. I'm driving down the street trying to get to the neighboring town. And there's a huge line, and I'm like, what are all these people online for? They're online for gas.
I got to tell you,
gas. Where do you go? No internet. No power.
I've been talking with a buddy of mine who's I red pilled him a while back, and now he's gone farther right than me, and he's all Mr. 2A and prepper, and he's been after me to start looking at MREs and start investing. For when the food is no longer available. And I've been talking to Nanette about it, and I think we actually have to start doing it. Start budgeting a little bit of our funds every month to start buying some of these MREs that can last for 25 years. And then when we can't get food anymore, well, we got food.
I was planning on doing that. I even got some stuff, but unfortunately the hurricane happened. So we'll see. Like I said,
So now you know not only to get the food, but figure out how to store it. Above water line, in plastic, stuff like that.
I got some of that natural catch tuna. Some of it survived. Have you seen those things on YouTube? Natural catch tuna.
No,
Well,
I don't know anything about it.
No, I eat tuna. I think the algorithm knows.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making fun of my store-bought tuna. Says you need our stuff; it's better, and it's Halloween
Well,
Ends
maybe.
wasn't the greatest movie of all time. Yeah, it was. It wasn't the greatest movie of all time.
I like Stephen Ransom says those are not first world problems; those are zero world problems. Actually, they're not problems. No, that's exactly right. But I like to use terms like that because those are the kinds of terms that the left uses, right? And I like to try to use their own terms because it usually, if nothing else, if it doesn't antagonize them, it puts you on the same playing field. You start to find the common ground, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Halloween Ends wasn't okay, but he says, Lisa to preach at us. You'll find that horror typically, it's very hard for horror to be PC and to be successful at what it's doing. Usually, horror has to be grounded in some sort of dark reality, so it's very difficult for it to be.
Really sounds like it. From what Fanzine was saying about it, it sounds like it was just thrown together very hastily and just not what a long-lasting series like that deserved.
Halloween Ends?
Yeah.
Wait a minute,
the story was... What?
Oh my goodness, wait a minute. This is how the loop I've been. That's the newest Halloween movie that just came out, correct?
Yeah, just this past week.
I've not had access to news, dude. It's like I forgot that came out.
It came out day and date. You probably have access on Peacock.
Yeah, I have Peacock. I'm not going to be able to watch it anytime soon, but I saw Halloween Kills, and it was terrible.
Yeah. I heard that this was not very good either.
Here's the funny thing about Halloween Kills I noticed. You know how, like, the original Halloween series, you had Halloween, then you had Halloween 2, and then you had Halloween 3, which was not related. Then you got Halloween 4, 5, and 6, and how it went off the deep end with those, and then they had to bring it back with the Halloween H2O. It feels like with Halloween Kills, they were repeating a lot of the mistakes they made with Halloween 4 and 5, like not knowing what to do with Michael Myers, like maybe going too far in the supernatural aspect. But I haven't seen Ends, so I don't know if they were going to explain that, because it's like...
my understanding is they by implication kind of do, and not in a way that you're going to like.
I'm sure it's terrible, because I hated Halloween Kills. It's just, it's not interesting. These acts by these characters. You know what's funny? Mark Kermode, I don't always agree with him. He's a British critic, but you know what he said about Halloween Kills? You can do this. This isn't a horror movie. What you can't do is bore me.
Right. Absolutely right.
Our only pin. Anyway, perhaps you won't be able to send to music. Okay, perhaps these acts by the characters are only priming law to take action. You will be searched and scanned for entering a museum. Perhaps you won't be able to enter a museum if you're a problem. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, look at every time there's an escalator. Okay, we still have to take off our shoes because the Unabomber tried to put bombs into his shoes, right? We still have all kinds of security measures that we all have to deal with because of 9/11. And it's like, look, we need to start using a little more common sense and start thinking rationally, and when someone does something illegal, you punish them. You don't punish the whole rest of frickin' society for it. You know?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry. I am. You're right about that, but I also want to say something else. Yeah, you're right. It's ridiculous the treatment you get. I haven't even been on a plane in a while. I'm sure. It's true. I've heard horror stories about the airlines right now. But Birdman might have more experience with that than me. But what else did I want to mention? In the movie 2010, they were taking all the famous artwork for the Lewin stuff and putting it in safe because they knew the world was going to have this horror run, so they wanted to save their art. So they put replicas in the museums. And I'm thinking, maybe for now, until society becomes less crazy, you need to maybe not tell anybody, but if you want to maybe save the original thing in maybe 100 years, when things are saner,
I've been a big proponent of that.
I've been forgery in there. I might be all right with that. Just don't tell anybody, you know.
I would say that that's absolutely reasonable, especially because so many of these great masterpieces, you can see high resolution scans of them on the internet. I am never going to France. I will never see the Louvre, but I can see all of those artworks on the internet, and that's fine with me. You know,
that was actually an example of how I thought virtual reality would be perfect. Would be like if you could replicate a museum environment in virtual reality, but be like, because it's no good to go in a big crowd and try and look at these things. But if you could go like by yourself and just look at these in a virtual reality environment, that might be kind of cool. You know,
exactly. That makes perfect sense, and that would be absolutely fine. I also don't think that seeing an original. Okay, let's take the Mona Lisa for example. Okay. Why is it so important to see the actual original firsthand? Are you such an expert that you can notice something in the brush strokes? You know, unless you are a restorer or, you know, an art historian or something like that, you probably don't need that level of access to it, you know?
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean, it's funny, a local museum in our area, it's the Ringling Museum, because apparently, you know, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey,
sure.
Guy, he collected a ton of Rubens, and so there are a lot of Rubens in this museum they have now. So, and I'll say this, seeing a big piece of artwork up close, I can see why before you had TV or video games, things like that, how a nice piece of artwork could draw you in, and you could just look at it for hours.
I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos specifically about more obscure artwork, and you know, you especially for those of us that haven't studied the specific history of what the what the subject matter is. Sometimes hearing a commentary on it can be very, very valuable. You know, there's a picture. It's a painting called the Huguenot or something like that, and it's a picture of and it's a guy and a girl kissing or something, and you know, there's a lot of details that kind of imply what the whole story is. It's like that one snapshot, and I use that in inverted commas, a snapshot in time tells a whole story if you understand the title and who the subjects probably are and so on and so forth. It's very interesting. Yeah.
No, I mean, it sounds fascinating. I mean,
getting your dose of culture here too, people, and you weren't expecting that.
Well, here's the deal. Everything was popular culture at one time. Why does Shakespeare survive today? People used to go see Shakespeare. It was like going to see the new Spielberg movie or something.
Right.
Come on.
And I'll tell you something. I'll bet today, back then, just as today, you probably had people saying, that's not how Richard III really was. That's not real. Be true to history.
I have a question. Where are you on the whole Richard III thing?
I mean, it's a good play, but it's not an accurate representation.
There's a defense society over in England that will defend Richard III and say he was not nearly as bad. I've heard that. That was on my In Search of series. Remember In Search of?
There was a lot of details that were in Shakespeare's plays that were just flat out historically anachronistic. Things that were more from Shakespeare's day than it was from Richard III's day. So
Well, I often got the impression that he could do a play where Richard III was the villain because he was against the current monarchy at the time, right? So it was like
so he was little bit of
range to make this guy into a villain. Okay,
a little bit of a political commentary in our Shakespeare. We don't need that Shakespeare. Just tell the story.
Hey, I'm just saying. Well, you notice too, like if it was the legitimate royal heir, like Henry V, like all the ones about the histories, the royals were all kind of heroic or respectable characters. Whereas, like if it's like Hamlet, Prince of Denmark, it's Denmark, so it's not England, so he can mess around a bit with
There's a bloke on YouTube who does these lineages, and he talks about if This one was actually a really interesting one. What? Because there had been talk very, very briefly, didn't go anywhere. What about if after the revolution they had created an American monarchy? They appointed, or they, anointed George Washington, George the First of America. Who would his descendant be? And there's a couple possible ways it could go because he didn't have any natural children. But one of the most interesting ones was he breaks down who would be the direct descendant that would hold the crown of Charlemagne if you were to follow the family tree. And do you know who that person would be?
Ooh.
King Charles.
Really?
Yes, King Charles would literally be the living heir to Charlemagne, if the empire of Charlemagne was still in existence. And what's also interesting, Charlemagne actually means Great King Charles. So
King Charles.
Yep. So from a great King Charles to a King Charles.
Well, maybe the office will not the office. The position will change the man. Shakespeare wasn't trying to make a bribe; he was making a point.
True. That is true.
Yes, I know,
But sadly, a lot of people look at that as history. They believe what they believe because they know that play. That's very, very sad.
By the way, my copy of Richard III on DVD did not make it, but maybe that'll give me the excuse to pick it up on Blu-ray.
There you go.
The Laurence Olivier version. So, in Taming of the Shrew, the bad guy was the Puritan. Interesting.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not big on Puritans for a number of reasons. And the trouble is we have Puritans of all shapes and sizes these days. Including, well, I guess we're going to get into that. I guess it's time for the news. I've argued that this is going to be a truncated stream tonight. Not truncated because we'll probably still go the full gamut, but I didn't want to overload it because I've been through, so I figured we could pick 2 stories each. And I know that there's a ton to go through. Let's open up Geeky Geezers' notes. Is this, or is this those notes from the prior week?
It should be there's
I have my notes.
There's only 3.
We got 2 remembrances. Okay, so
yeah.
Start out with that.
You want to jump into that?
This other one. I didn't. You have to understand too.
You've been completely out of the loop.
I've been out of loop on a lot of things. Like I said, they said Halloween Ends came out. Like what? Oh, that's right. Remember movies? I was all excited. I was like, I watched an original horror movie on Shudder. I wanted to talk the deleted scenes about it at some point. But it was called Watcher, and I was going to spend all month watching horror movies on Shudder because they're a good channel because they believe in physical media. You can spend the whole
You can spend the whole month telling your horror story of Hurricane Ian.
I have to tell you, there is nothing creepier than going to storage at night.
I would imagine.
And it's completely quiet, and the storage has been through.
I can imagine.
I hate Google now. Yes, I want to cut and paste. Thank you. Will you allow me to do this? Let's try the Control V. Maybe that'll do better. Okay. Robbie Coltrane, Hagrid of Harry Potter films, dead at 72.
Yep.
Wow, that shocked me. I didn't realize he was that old, but still, it's not that old. I mean,
it's not really. Not really.
Oh, Hagrid. And he was on other things too. Let's go and read. Robbie Coltrane, the actor who brought to life the lovable gamekeeper Hagrid in Harry Potter film franchise, died on Friday. According to his agent, Scott Henderson, he was 72. The Scottish-born actor's other credits included the British series Cracker and James Bond films GoldenEye and The World Is Not Enough. Yeah, he was interesting. He was this Russian guy the Pierce Brosnan character would run into. I think Minnie Driver played his wife too, but she was also playing a Russian in that.
Wow.
No details on the cause of death were immediately provided. Before Coltrane shot to international fame by playing the bearded Hagrid, he honed his comedic skills on the theater stage. In the 80s, he appeared in the short-lived sketch series Al Fresco.
Mm-hmm.
Powerhouses Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, and Emma Thompson. Wow, that sounds
that was like 83, 84.
check that out. On Friday, Fry honored his former co-star in a statement posted on Twitter. I first met Robbie Coltrane almost exactly 40 years ago. I was all terror love struck all at the same time. Such depth, power, and talent, funny enough to cause helpless hiccups and honking as we made our first TV show, Fresco, he wrote, farewell, old fellow. Coltrane reunited with Thompson on the 6-part drama series, Tutti Frutti, for which he earned his first Best Actor British Academy Television Award nomination. His first win would be for the television series Cracker in the 90s. That series, a crime drama, ran for 3 seasons from 93 to 95, with 2 subsequent specials. The role of Hagrid, a half-giant, half-human character, was a natural one for Coltrane. He knew and loved the books because he read them to his children, he recalled in one interview. If you're an actor, you have to do the voices. The children expect it. No monotone allowed, he joked. But it was his performance which brought heart and humanity to the role, a literal, gentle half-giant that struck with the audiences. Yeah, I'm telling you, I was shocked to hear that. I'm like, oh, Robbie Coltrane's gone. I mean, I'm sure you're very familiar with this actor from Love of British Television, right?
Absolutely. Did you mention his appointment to OBE, Order of the British Empire?
Might have missed that, or maybe it wasn't.
Yeah, he received the OBE in 2006 New Year honor by Queen Elizabeth II for his service to drama. Yep, his official name Anthony Robert Macmillan, but of course he went professionally by Robbie Coltrane. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and he's one of these actors you'll recognize when you see him, and like I said, I did remember seeing him in those Bond movies.
Yeah.
And Cracker, I need to watch. Wasn't that remade as an American series?
Might have done. I don't recall.
I don't know if he reprised it, but they made him do an American accent on the American series. I have to look into that. Don't do that. You can have a British actor on an American series.
Yeah.
They could have just had him playing the same character, except that he's working in the U.S. or something, But anyway,
I don't know. People are weird.
But yeah, Robbie Coltrane gone. I mean, this is just we've been losing a ton of actors this year.
Well, and the next one that we have coming up shouldn't be that big a surprise. I mean, we are talking again in her 90s, so I mean,
classic.
But
Angela Lansbury, Murder, She Wrote, starring legendary actress, dies at age 96.
96. That is pretty darn good.
I can read a bit from this. Angela Lansbury, one of Hollywood's most legendary stars, has died. She was 96. The children of Dame Angela Lansbury are sad to announce that their mother died peacefully in her sleep at home in Los Angeles at 1:30 a.m. today, Tuesday, October 11th, 2022, just 5 days shy of her 97th birthday, her family said in a statement to Fox News Digital. In addition to her 3 children, Anthony, Deirdre, and David, she is survived by 3 grandchildren, Catherine and Ian. That's an unfortunate name. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right?
Ian is like a plus 5 great-grandchildren and her brother, producer Edgar Lansbury. The statement added, she was preceded in death by her husband of 53 years, Peter Shaw. A private family ceremony will be held at a date to be determined. The Murder, She Wrote star has 6 Golden Globes and 18 Emmy nominations, as well as an honorary Oscar for Lifetime Achievement in Motion Pictures. Lansbury was also a National Medal of Honor Arts recipient and has a Kennedy Center honor. Angela Lansbury, what's to say? I mean, if you're a fan of American children's cinema, I mean, how many Disney movies was she in?
Yeah, she was the go-to older woman, British, voice, the motherly voice,
Yeah, she was in Beauty and the Beast.
Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
And I believe, was she the wicked stepmother in Cinderella, the original animated Cinderella? Did she do the voice of her?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
I'm going to find out.
Maybe.
I gotta know. But yeah.
I mean... and she definitely... she for a whole generation of American kids, she represented she and Mary Poppins were British culture and life as far as we were concerned.
Yes. Okay, I don't think she was. Okay, never mind then.
That's okay.
She was probably a starlet at that point.
What are you saying? All those Brits sound alike? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that certain actors have a similar tinder to her voice, but
that's true. That's true.
June
but
Foray as Lucifer was in. Must have been the name of the cat or something in Cinderella. Okay,
Oh yeah, Lucifer was the name of the cat. That's right.
Okay, I haven't seen the animated Cinderella in ages, but yeah, just oh my goodness, what's going on here? We also lost Austin Stoker, Assault on Precinct 13 Roots, Battle of the Planet of the Apes. Wow. I need to rewatch Assault on Precinct 13. Have you ever seen that? It's an early John Carpenter movie. It's a very good like action thriller type movie where basically a gang is assaulting a police station. It's like they're barricading.
Right.
The cops are having to barricade themselves in, and it's an intense little movie. I think it's one of these stations that was getting ready to be shut down because they're moving the precinct, but it was still housed by a skeleton crew. And then some guy, I think a gang member, kills his kid, so he kills the gang member, and then the gang's after him, and he hides in the station, so they have to protect this father. I forget what happens, but basically, I think that's the plot, and it's just them. It's all night of them fending off this gang from trying to, kill them, and I guess the person they're protecting.
Right.
It's a good little John Carpenter thriller, but Manchurian Candidate, still a brave part for her to take on. Yeah, that's a classic. That's a classic movie. Robert Pastorelli starred in the U.S. Cracker series. Okay, so it wasn't Robbie Coltrane. I haven't seen either. Maybe I should watch Cracker. That might be something to look into. I'm sure it's a good thriller series. The Brits are good at doing those mystery thriller series.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They got that down to a science. We had a great one called Millennium when it was on. That was a good American thriller series, but. Okay, but yeah, sorry to see Angela Lansbury go. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, which one are we on to? Because I didn't want to drop the wrong one.
Marvel.
Okay, got it. There we go.
You're going to talk about Marvel again. Oh, no. No.
I was kind of priming the pump on this one, yeah. Marvel shifts release dates for Blade, Fantastic Four, Avengers Secret War, next Deadpool among Disney's moves. Let's just take a pause right there, folks. That's a big deal. I mean, that tells me that Disney blinked. That's my first impression, but let's dive into it. Disney unveiled or changed the release dates for a slew of movie titles Tuesday, including Marvel's Blade, which was announced this morning to be delayed production. Blade, the vampire pick starring... I'm going to mess this up.
Mahershala Ali.
Thank you very much. That's teamwork for you. Is currently in search of a new director following Bassem Tariq's departure. It is now set to open September 6th, 2024, having previously been slated for November 3rd of 2023. Yeah, wow. Among the changes, the as-yet untitled Deadpool threequel has moved from September 6th to 2024 to November 8th, 2024. That's not a big change. That's just a couple months. With Fantastic Four bumped from that later date to February 14th, 2005. Previously set for November 7th, 2025, Avengers Secret War, the first of back-to-back movies in the Avengers series, will now debut on May 5th, 2026. I'm telling you, the more they...
Secret Wars and Secret Invasion are two different things, right?
I think they're going to be connected, kind of like the Infinity War and Endgame kind of a thing. But I'm telling you, the more they push this stuff out, the less likely it is I'll even be around to see them, for crying out loud. Not that I'm planning on going to see them anyway, but an untitled Marvel pick set for February 14th, 2025 has been pushed to November 7th, 2025. Who cares if we don't even know what movie it is? With another having been removed from the schedule after being set for May 1st, 2026. Again, If we don't know what it is, what do we care? Other titles getting release dates today from Disney include Searchlight's Cavalier for 7/23, 20th I guess that's 20th Century Fox.
20th Century Studios.
Whatever they are now. A Haunting in Venice, 9/15/23. And Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. There's finally mentioning a movie I might actually be interested in. 5/24/24.
Don't mess this up.
I know. They've done well so far.
There's certain things but Disney didn't own them at that point. That's the problem. Like, I would love for them to just continue on from where they left off and do a Taylor trilogy.
Is there any reason to believe that's not what they're doing? Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes does sound like a natural progression.
What they should do, I would love to see them do, because they even set it up in the old movies how the Mars mission got lost in space. You saw that in the first movie. It was on the paper while the pandemic in that movie is starting up. But you also see it saying, you could tell that they were already setting up for the crew of astronauts that gets lost and it's going to come back to Earth in the far future. You know, that it was.
Well, I do feel like there's plenty of time between. You know, I mean, they can still do the establishment of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that leads up to the society that we see in the original Planet of the Apes.
But the thing is, I don't know how the people are going, because they kind of explained the disease that was making them more animal-like in the third movie, basically, that there was now a disease, like the disease that killed off a lot of the human race. The ones that survived, it was now mutating, but it was making them more animal-like and savage, whereas the apes were left alone.
Not like we need a disease to do that. I mean, I see it happening around us anyway. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. I mean, those all three were really good movies, and I would love to see them continue on, but it's Disney. They're letting Fox do their own thing, leave them alone to do what they do instead of you having to muck everything up all the time. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
We've got a year and a half to worry about that, and we will definitely be bringing you more on Planet of the Apes as we hear about it. But continuing on, it was at San Diego Comic-Con this summer that Marvel boss Kevin Feige first laid the groundwork for the transition from Phase 4 to Phase 5 and even Phase 6 of the MCU. Phase 4 ends with Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which I won't be seeing, now a month away from hitting screens November 11th. Phase 6 is where the reboot of the Fantastic Four lived, along with the twin Avengers picks, Avengers The Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars. Both are originally touted to go 6 months apart in May and December of 2025. Kang Dynasty was first up and was not part of today's changes. It will be Secret Wars that moves into the May 2026 position. My question is, how many of you care? And does this really matter to y'all?
Okay, so couple things. One, these Avengers movies, I believe, unless I didn't see the last Thor movie, is he even written out of the MCU now, or is he still kicking around?
I have no idea. I didn't see it.
Because I would imagine they'd bring him back since he's one of the few members of the original.
I know he got rid of his beer gut somehow.
They probably bring. Oh God,
and somehow without him complaining about him being pressured to lose weight for his role. Shocker.
Here's the thing. They never should have done that with Thor. I think that they don't understand is they kept playing Thor for laughs. They don't understand, for a lot of people, Thor is a lot of people's favorite Avenger. This is people have their favorite Avengers. Mine used to be the Hulk until
there was. See, the problem was they needed to play Thor as the straight guy, and people like Tony Stark and others around him making the jokes, right? So you could get away with him saying something really serious, but he says it in that Asgardian, archaic, style language, and Tony Stark could say something as simple as most of us would just say, da 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 da.
Tony Stark was funny, but that was because part of that was due to Robert Downey Jr. being a very having good comedic timing as well.
Yep, that's what it always was.
The trouble is that the Marvel thinks that everybody can be a comedian, and that's not the case.
Well, if your actor isn't great with the improv, then you need writers to be good comedians, and they don't have that at all. They just don't.
Love and Thunder was a 2-hour meme. Oh, by the
Yeah.
way, I did before the hurricane hit. I did watch a Marvel movie I hadn't seen, or Marvel adjacent. I finally watched Morbius.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh my word! I don't. It's. I. They don't know what they're doing. No, because it's weird. Because
You were so flummoxed you couldn't even get a sentence out.
you have the Disney Marvel universe, okay, the MCU, and that's falling off the rails. Then you have the Sony weird alternate Spider-Man universe with no Spider-Man, which I'm like, are you just gonna either bring Andrew Garfield into it or bring his Spider-Man back into it, which maybe they're not allowed to do, because I was thinking you just bring him back as Spider-Man, have him fighting Venom on that, or bring Miles. I mean, they're always talking about doing Miles Morales. I mean, I don't understand a Spider-Man universe with no Spider-Man, where you have all these villains hanging out. They even explained that the Vulture is over there now, because I guess he crossed over through that whole dimensional vortex thing from the last Spider-Man movie. So I guess he's over in the Venomverse now, and he's gonna hang out with Morbius.
Whatever.
Why do they keep doing this where they make movies about the villain with no hero? So then they have to find someone worse for the, I guess, not totally evil villain. I guess Morbius, did he sort of become like an anti-hero later on in the comics?
Yeah, kind of. And he was also always considered to be in their like supernatural kind of more for more mature audience kind of stuff. So you wouldn't think of him as being an Avenger or something like that. Let's put it that way.
No, Tom Connor said Morbius is very riffable. It is great review. Thank you. It is. Because the thing with the Sony universe is I don't think it's necessarily the woke stuff. I don't think at least there's a ton of that stuff in there. Though I did get the hint in Venom that the villain's based on Elon Musk. I got that impression. And in Morbius, it's Jared Leto, and he wants to cure his blood disease by turning himself into a living vampire. And then there's Matt Smith is in it as his childhood friend who also had a blood disease, and he becomes a vampire, but he's worse than Morbius. So Morbius has somebody to fight. Though Morbius is himself kind of
because he can't fight Spider-Man and he can't fight Blade.
Spider-Man.
I mean,
they
really
Venom, and I hated Venom. It's Morbius is truly bad. Yes, okay, but anyway,
are we going Bond or are we going DC?
I don't know where we're going next. Are we done with Marvel? Are you excited?
Not at all. I thought I made that very clear. I just think that if they're, I don't see anything in this article telling us why they're pushing everything out. That's a bad sign. It's not like we're still in pandemic mode here anymore. So what is happening behind the scenes?
Well, we know what's happening behind the scenes with Blade. It's already in this article. They had a fight with the director.
Yeah.
And they keep losing directors. They treat the directors like crap. The directors are hired on saying, hey, just turn the camera on and do what we tell you to do, which doesn't work if you're a director that has any kind of integrity. You want to make your own movie, okay? You want to have some kind of stamp on it.
I just think that what we need to start seeing is a whole bunch of Disney films coming out, all directed by Alan Smithy. Then that'll tell you everything you need to know. It's a Disney film. There is no director. They just do what corporate tells them to do. That's all there is to it.
You hire Sam Raimi. I didn't see this last Doctor Strange, but you hire Sam Raimi for it. Sam Raimi's an auteur director. I mean, he started out with those Evil Dead movies, but he went on to do Spider-Man. He's done other things like A Simple Plan. He's a good director. A great visual storyteller, and he was great for those first couple Spider-Man movies I loved. Those were excellent.
Well, it does cause you to why do you bring this director in if not to take advantage of their talents, right? What you can absolutely do is the same thing that Amazon did with Rings of Power. You bring in two dingbats that have never done anything before and give them, your $1 billion project. Hey, whatever.
Yeah, well, like I said, I've not been keeping abreast of Rings of Power, but I take it that Sauron gets stopped, right?
You find out who Sauron is, and you find out who allowed him to come into existence, and you remember that whole story about?
Because I don't care. Okay.
Do you remember that whole story from about a year or two ago, where they were talking about bringing in an intimacy coordinator? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody's been wondering why. They haven't seen anything that would indicate why that was the case. Right. But Tom Connors has a theory based on the last episode of Rings of Power. Thinks that there was a love scene between Galadriel and Sauron that got cut out.
Is it supposed to be the family show?
I don't know who they think the audience is, because they have no audience. They've excised all the Tolkien fans. What do you have left? Who else is going to see a Tolkien show if not Tolkien fans? I don't understand what they were thinking.
I wonder what the ratings were like for this thing, if we're ever going to find out. I don't know. Let's see.
Do we want to go Bond, or do we want to stick with comic book movies?
Well, I'm going to be kicking off. I'm going to go Bond next, but I want to say Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Aren't you a little excited about that?
Not at all. I did like the first movie, but I saw the preview, and I saw nothing in the preview that made me interested in this.
Because there's no actual Black Panther in it, right?
Exactly. Okay. I'm assuming it's just like what everyone assumed was going to happen. They're giving it to his sister.
They should have just recast. I think that was what you do going forward, and I know those are tough shoes to fill, but they should have recast.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the Bond article. This was from a few weeks back, so we're late on it, but we had the stream.
It is, but
No, it's
let me drop it real quick.
Current. Are you gonna drop it for me? Okay. Well,
yeah, I just did. Yeah. I just feel like it's, and I'm sorry, I'm fat thumbing it here, so be patient with me. But I just feel like we don't have anything new on it, so it's not like it's old news. It's still relevant as far as James Bond related news. But I feel like you probably have some strong feelings about this one.
James Bond producers search for a new 007 who will commit for a decade. Bond is evolving as men are evolving. Yes. I'm going to read a bit from this article, not the whole thing, as it meanders forever, but okay. Landing James Bond may be the biggest acting gig in Hollywood, but 007 producers Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson say they still have to pitch prospective actors on the part. This is another thing that bothers me. It's the biggest acting gig in Hollywood. When did 007 and James Bond become a Hollywood property?
I mean, I don't know.
British cinema. It's this British cinema.
Well, that's kind of worse, isn't it?
I mean, put out by United Artists back in the day, which was the foreign distribution of MGM, I believe, right? And there were at least tied to it. I could be wrong, but the whole point is that these are British films. England used to have a big film industry back in the 60s and 70s. I mean, maybe not so much in the 70s, but 50s and 60s, they were exporting movies.
Yeah, but when you start talking, the woke crap, you got Hollywood and you got all of Britain. Sorry, guys, but you let your island go completely woke. You really did. I mean, kudos on the whole Brexit thing, but other than that, you guys have been a kind of clusterfuck in terms of the woke.
When Variety catches up with Britain's most famous producers in late August, they're busy preparing for the 60th anniversary of Bond in October, but the search for a new actor to play the world's most famous spy is quietly rumbling on in the background. It's still early days, they claim, but whomever lands the role has to be in it for the long haul. The thing is, it's going to be a couple years off, she notes, and when we cast Bond, it's a 10 to 12-year commitment. So she was probably thinking, do I really want that thing? Not everybody wants to do that. It was hard enough getting Daniel Craig to do it. Yeah, because he didn't want to do it, and he don't get me started. Wilson interjects, and he was in his early 30s at the time. Most young actors say Broccoli and Wilson think they want to do Bond, but don't fully fathom the commitment of carrying a franchise across many years. A lot of people think, oh yeah, it'd be fun to do one. Broccoli laughs out loud. Well, that ain't going to work. It's also a matter of resources for Eon Productions, explains Wilson. It's a big investment for us, too, to bring out a new Bond. Ultimately, the casting process isn't simply about choosing someone for a role in a movie, they underline. That's when people go, oh, who are you going to get? It's not just about casting an actor for a film. It's about reinvention. And where are we taking it? What do we want for the character, says Broccoli. And then once we figure that out, who's the right person for that particular reinvention? With Craig, when we had the conversation at this very table about, whether he was going to do it, he said, well, I'm going to do it. I really want to be part of it, the whole thing. And he lived to regret that, says Broccoli with a burst of laughter. But it's a big commitment. It's not just showing up for a couple of months of filming. As Brosnan once said, she quotes, more people have walked on the moon than have played James Bond. Indeed, there have been only 6 Bond actors to date since the first movie, Dr. No, in 1962, Sean Connery, George Lazenby, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, Brosnan, and Craig.
Well, clearly they're kind of overlooking the original Casino Royale.
Oh, please. I've
I mean,
that.
technically.
No, technically not. But I'll argue with you later. I think wasn't that an American actor playing him too at the time? There was
like 12 people in the movie playing James Bond or claiming to be James Bond.
Oh no, you're not thinking of the original James Casino Royale. There was a made-for-TV special that was a Casino Royale. I think it was one of those like thing of the week things on early American television. They had I think it was an American actor playing James Bond.
That's weird.
Special. Then you had that horrible spoof Casino Royale movie.
That's what I was referring to.
Which I rank as the worst movie I've ever seen. It's up there. It's so bad.
I mean, it is. You're right.
It had Peter Sellers and Orson Welles. And apparently Peter Sellers and Orson Welles hated each other. They couldn't be on the same set. So when they did their interactions, they would cut away from each of them. You never saw them both on the same set at the same time because they hated each other that much. It was just... And Orson Welles and Peter Sellers don't get along with a lot of people. So it's just okay. So both Wilson and Broccoli. Okay, Broccoli is the James Bond producer. She is the daughter of Cubby Broccoli, who was the one of the original 2 producers going back to Dr. No. So she's the daughter. So she's still making these. Okay, so Broccoli, who is the director of the UK chapter of women's advocacy org Time's Up, have left their mark on Bond, particularly in humanizing the once womanizing spy and ensuring more fulfilling media roles for the female stars of the franchise. These are qualities that will continue in the next film, says Broccoli. It's an evolution, she says. Bond is evolving just as men are evolving. I don't know who's evolving at a faster pace. Okay, so I have some things to say on this. Do you have anything to say?
Nope.
I am rather insulted by this last part of the article.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the Daniel Craig era has been a wasted opportunity, period. I think I mean, what were the 2 halfway decent ones? Casino Royale and Skyfall, and the rest have been kind of crapshoots. This is... And Bond is evolving as men are evolving. I don't know what that means, what she means by men are evolving. What does she mean by that?
It's absolutely misandrous is what it is.
I think it's misandrous as well.
It absolutely is. It's she feels like she and her elitist ilk can dictate to all of mankind what masculinity should be. And as a man, I say, fuck you. I will be what I'm going to be. and I'm going to celebrate it and be proud of it, just like everybody else in all their 50 million genders.
This is what I don't understand about James Bond, and I feel like I got into Bond during the Brosnan era. That was like in the '90s, and I also started watching the old Bond movies to catch up and enjoy those a lot too. But I got into them through Brosnan, and I feel like she's seeing me, the Brosnan fan, the Brosnan audience, as some sort of Cro-Magnon or something. I mean, I don't know what she's going on about, and now we're gonna have. I don't know what they're turning Bond into now. I mean, he's not a nice guy. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah.
He's what I might call a gentleman spy, but he kills. He has a license to kill.
Right. That's the whole point. This is Black Ops. This is MI6 type stuff. This is and if you're caught over enemy lines, we will disavow you because it'll start a war. Government's doing stuff they ain't supposed to do.
Let's see. James Bond doesn't evolve. That's kind of the point. He's an old school knight. Well, that was what's funny about the old the Brosnan pitch. Like you get Judi Dench as M, and she says, "I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, holdover from the Cold War." Like she was kind of telling him down, but that's who he is. That's just.
And here's the irony: we live in an era where the West is still trying to fight the damn Cold War.
Oh, we're back in a Cold War now. I'm sorry, it's on. And
I mean, they're literal, but they're so fucking ham-handed about it. It's so obvious what's going on. We don't even have a James Bond type doing things covertly. They're doing stupid shit overtly.
The James Bond is a fantasy. It's a fantasy for men and women alike.
Yeah.
Women want him, men want to be him. And
right.
It's just you get to sit down for 2 hours. You get to go see this guy, this kick-ass gentleman. Killing the bad guys. Fighting supervillains, going to exotic locales, sleeping with beautiful women. That's the whole point of this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And stopping some doomsday thing that's going to happen. Okay, whatever the latest doomsday thing to save the world. And I don't know. And it's funny because I was reading another article about the canceled Quentin Tarantino Bond project, because he was trying to shop around because he wanted to do Casino Royale. I learned about it later. He was going to get Pierce Brosnan for it because Pierce Brosnan was Bond at the time. Because apparently he got along with Pierce Brosnan, so he figured I could use him for Bond. But it was going to be a period piece. And it was going to be a follow-up to On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
Like a direct follow-up. But it was going to be Brosnan in the role. And that would have been interesting. And I would have liked to have seen what Quentin Tarantino could have done. And at that point, he had done Kill Bill. So he already showed that he had the action movie chops for a Bond movie. But they went a different route. And I felt like... I don't know what Bond is aping off of now. Because when they did... Casino Royale, it was obvious that they were jealous of the Jason Bourne movies, so they were trying to make a more serious, spy-orientated Bond, like the Bourne movies. Skyfall is The Dark Knight, because you have an insane villain like the Joker in that, played by the great Javier Bardem. I mean, he was a great villain in that movie, but I kind of felt like there was inspiration of The Dark Knight in there. I think Spectre was ripping off Captain America: The Winter Soldier in parts, but... which is funny because Winter Soldier's all about Hydra and Spectre, which is kind of an evil organization like Spectre. So they totally wasted Blofeld in that last movie. Then they killed Bond. They killed off Bond in the last movie. They killed him off.
I know. Which means it's definitely not going to be a continuation. I thought I was being clever, and I still think it was pretty clever. In my thumbnail, I kind of augmented a meme that's been going around for a while, the evolution of Bond, and it starts out with you probably can't read it in the thumbnail, but you can probably look it up. It starts out with a primal Connorus. It then goes to underrated Lazinus. Campus Rogerus, Darkus Daltus, what's that one? It's Brosnan, something Brosnus. I don't know. what it says before that. And then heterosexualist sociopath or something like that. And I'm like, that's kind of bullcrap. But it sounds exactly like what this kind of writer is saying. So I put right after him, my speculation of what they're going to do. And I put this skinny soy boy, with angel wings on, that's underneath it says, Wocus Deconstructus.
I have no idea what they're planning, but yeah, it's going to be some kind of woke Bond. I don't know. Yeah, James Bond is an assassin. I know people don't like the movie Die Another Day, but there's a brilliant scene in the beginning where I still like it, even though I don't have a problem with it. But there's a wonderful scene in the beginning where where he's trying to infiltrate this operation being done by some bad North Koreans in it, right? And the one bad guy gets a tip off, and he says, "This man is not who he says he is. His name is James Bond. He's a British assassin." And I like the fact that they just basically state what Bond really is. He's an assassin.
Yeah, you kind of can't get around that. I mean, that's exactly what a license to kill means, right?
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know. I'm done, man. I have to tell you, out of a lot of the pop culture things that have been ruined for me, the ruining of Bond has been
the most egregious.
It's been pretty bad. I like American cinema. I like a lot of the European cinema, especially of the 60s and 70s, and Bond is, of course, a big part of that. And just to see him getting dragged through the mud, and I feel like I've been kind of betrayed, because they get me into Bond, and by bringing Pierce Brosnan back and having him basically be a classic Bond, and he's, and even though the movies, maybe they weren't necessarily the best stories in the world, but he still was Bond in those, right? And then we get Daniel Craig era, which went on for way too long, because Bond should not go on more than 10 years, and this was on way more than 10 years. I don't like when Bond starts reaching like his later 50s and stuff. He should not be that old. I mean, I don't know, because it seems like whenever you have an older Bond, that's when things start to sour. It started souring with Roger Moore around that time too, when he was getting too old to be able to play the part. And
James Bond should not wear a toupee. Just saying.
Who wore a toupee? Don't even bring up Connery with me.
Okay. I won't tell you.
If you're talking about Connery from Diamonds.
I also won't tell you that World Wrestling Federation, that kind of wrestling isn't real wrestling. But I don't want to burst your myths or anything.
Well, Pierce Brosnan has a nice full head of hair. Okay, I think.
Yeah, I guess probably. Otherwise, it's a really good toupee.
Speaking of Pierce Brosnan, he's going to be in the upcoming DC movie Black Adam.
Is he really?
He's playing Dr. Fate.
Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that.
This is a segue to our next story.
The only problem with this link is that the link itself is too long for me to drop it in.
It's Bounding in the Comics. Just post the title, okay?
I posted the title. You can look it up, Bounding into Comics. Bounding into Comics, you want people to cite you, you might want to make your links a little bit shorter. Just saying.
Here's the problem with Bounding in the Comics.
They have to get the whole title into their link, and their titles are freaking ridiculously long.
They are very difficult to cut and paste from. I did do the cut and pasting. I can read it if you'd like, unless you had it set up.
No, it's okay. I got it. It's just I couldn't drop it into the chat. So, and this I should point out for those of you that were listening to myself and Netter when we were covering for the Missing in Action Agent Boomer. I was saying that we don't know where the future of DC on film is going, and what their plan is for Black Adam, other than they're apparently divorcing it from Captain Marvel Shazam. But I would bring you any news that I saw as it came out. And here we go right now. Dwayne Johnson confesses a film pitting Black Adam against Superman is what the new era of the DCEU is about. That is the whole point of this. So again, this is coming from Bounding Into Comics, whose links are too long for me to share with you. Google it yourself. Any doubts that Henry Cavill returns to the big screen as Superman in Black Adam can be sent up, and away, right out the window now that audiences are ever closer to the film's release. No less surprising is why the film incorporates Superman at all. The two are going to fight. Black Adam himself, Dwayne Johnson, admits as much to Cineblend in the continuing lead up to his starring turn as the anti-hero's premiere. He, The Rock, says he definitely, unequivocally intends to make a movie where Black Adam fights Superman. Absolutely. That's the whole point of this, man. He answered quite directly and clearly. I have been saying for some time there's a new era in the DC universe that's about to begin. Johnson added that, and what I meant by that was introducing a brand new character. It's not a sequel, not an existing IP. It was, Black Adam. 2 years ago, the world had no idea who he was. We did, but not the rest of the masses out there. Okay, I'm glad he cleared that up. I'm assuming he's implying we,
saying general
meaning
audience,
fans.
I think he's saying general audience.
Okay. But it is an existing IP. He is misspeaking. He is a Captain Marvel villain. Captain Marvel Shazam, not Captain Marvel Cheese Girl. This is another example, and I said this last week, this is another example of them taking a villain and making him the protagonist of a film. It's like the Joker, it's like Venom, it's like so many others. And I don't like this trend. Let me continue. What the fans have wanted is to see Henry Cavill in a cape again, and Johnson states he has been trying to deliver on that and more this whole time. But gridlock at the studio level has been a serious obstruction. I have been listening and I've been wanting to address fans for years, he admitted. I've been wanting for someone to step up and address the fans and say, hey, we hear you. Okay, I'm listening. If he's legit about that, I can kind of get behind that. So finally, after many months, turned into many years, we ended up with where we ended up at. And the whole goal and intention now, to this new era, a new time. Now let's build out, he continued. Seemingly, Johnson confirms that Black Adam is the start of a new era in the DCEU, which is the going rumor, but it doesn't quite sound as if he's going to be the answer to Thanos in his universe. That is, of course, unless a potential Black Adam versus Superman is the Infinity War Endgame level event the people at Warner Brothers are seemingly building to at this stage. Okay, let me just say that absolutely is not even remotely possible. Black Adam is not that kind of villain. He is not Thanos level. This is not building up to anything Infinity War like.
We don't want
and again,
War in the DC universe. We want DC to be doing its own thing.
Right. I understand, but I also understand
that would be Darkseid. You would do something with the New Gods.
Right. Right, exactly, which they kind of effed up with their Justice League film. They did a horrible job of that. And to be honest with you, let's call this what it is. We got to look back at all the other times that we have reported on, the news relating to the Snyderverse, to the Black Adam, the plans for it and everything. And I had to actually remind Netter, she had actually forgotten this from our previous reporting, that Dwayne Johnson and what's his name, Dark Superman here, Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
They work for the same talent agent. You know, they're a team here, and they've been kind of working together to help each other out. That's the only reason that he's saying, yeah, we want Black Adam to be fighting Superman. Why? Why? Do you want to fight Lex Luthor too? I mean, what's I don't get this. You know,
Okay.
Captain Marvel is the hero. Black Adam is the villain. Those are the two that should be fighting. The only reason you want to set this up to be you fighting Superman is because he's your bro and you're trying to keep him working here.
Okay. Can I interject?
Absolutely.
This could go terribly wrong, this movie. I'm not saying it can't. If they were to do this would be pretty clever. Now, I know Disney does this sort of thing where we have to see things from the villain's point of view. Maybe the villain isn't really a villain. If that's not what this is, though, if this is a fake out for the audience where we're thinking, oh, he's just this edgy anti-hero type, and then no, as the movie goes on, you realize, no, he just really is a villain.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a story from a villain's perspective. I mean, there were episodes of Batman, the animated series, where you could argue the villains were the protagonists and Batman was the antagonist, because the villains were the things trying to get their evil deed done, and the hero has to see the ones stopping them. You understand? It might be a clever way to do a superhero movie if you and the audience are learning, okay, this is not the way a hero acts, and then Superman shows up. Now, maybe Superman can't stop Black Adam either. Maybe Captain Marvel does indeed have to show up and stop him, because that was what happened in the original. They did a wonderful animated short with Black Adam and Captain Marvel. I don't know if you've seen it, where it was a standalone short, and it was brilliant. And but if Superman goes up against Black Adam, Black Adam says, you have a susceptibility to magic, don't you? Because he figures it out just from fighting Superman,
Yeah.
Anyway,
in fact, Mr. Matchstick had shared in our MeWe group about fixing the DC universe. He shared about that animated feature. I've seen it, and it's really good. And it's got that whole element of Clark trying to help Billy Batson as he's a naive young kid, and he's taking on a somewhat mentoring role there. I think that's absolutely good. And speaking of Mr. Matchstick, yeah, exactly what he says here. If this build up to Superman,
what this is, that would be pretty interesting. Okay?
Yeah. But
it's a fake out for the audience, thinking, "Oh, well, Black Adam's really not so bad. I'm tired of these wishy-washy superheroes that don't kill." And then you realize as it goes on, no, he's really just a pure villain. It's like Superman versus the Elite, remember? Where the Elite with the edgy superheroes realize, no, they're really just villains. That's what they are.
And I have to say that if this theory is correct that Mr. Matchstick has, and they're like bringing the Snyderverse to a close or something like that, and then they're going to pivot away from it. That's probably not a great idea either. Not that I've ever been a big fan of the Snyderverse. I think everybody who has followed me knows that. But they need to start pivoting into something, not away from something. They need to start actually making something good, and they might want to start building on whatever positivity they have from the Snyderverse.
Is Flashpoint supposed to fix? Here's the issue: you have this whole stupid thing where they had to kill Superman off, and then they bring him back. And now what? I'm supposed to imagine that Black Adam's a big threat to Superman, that he's going to get killed? Well, no, because you already killed him and brought him back a couple movies ago.
Yeah.
It was way too soon for that, and they didn't even... there wasn't even much of a payoff. The whole reason to do the Death Superman story is to actually have a world without Superman, where you had the four Supermen, the four different Supermen show up and do that storyline. I mean... And they didn't even establish Superman as a character that was beloved by the people at that point before he got killed either. The whole thing's been a mess. I mean, I didn't see the Snyder cut of Justice League. Maybe it's better. I don't know.
I don't know about that. But as Tom Connors over at Midnight's Edge, it keeps pointing out, as far as the filmmakers over at Warner Brothers, they don't consider that Snyder cut to be canon. It's something they put together for the fans and put out there as content, but they don't consider it canon.
Can I ask a question? What is canon? Is the Birds of Prey movie canon?
I was just going to say it's a great point. I am not sure anything constitutes canon at this point over there at DC. It's mix and match and choose your own adventure because it doesn't all fit together. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I think people argue that what was it? Justice League was being worked on, like there's incompatibilities between Justice League and Suicide Squad. And
I've said it myself. We've got 4 live action Batmen, and they're all from different universes.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Zootopia has a point. He says Zack Snyder ruined the DC movies. Death of Superman should have been a storyline through 15, 20 movies, and they mashed up the Death of the Dark Knight story. I'm going to say this. Producers get these things, and I mean, not that I'm a big fan of Kevin Smith, but he had a funny story about his writing The Death of Superman where he talked to a Hollywood producer about it. Hollywood has wanted to do 2 things. They wanted to do some producer over at Warner Brothers was obsessed with doing Batman versus Superman. They wanted that. I remember Jay Leno talking about that back when Jay Leno had the Late Show or whatever it was. That's how long this has been going on for this talk of having a Batman versus Superman movie. And the Death and Return of Superman movie, that was another one that was been tossed around. So finally it goes to Zack Snyder. He just combined the 2 movies into one, and it's been a mess. And they finally got it out of their system. They wanted to have a movie where Batman fought Superman. They want a movie where Superman dies.
Yeah.
So where do you go from there? It's
and that's the problem. It's you put producers in charge of storytelling, and that's not how it should go. It's like, yeah, you want to do that? That's great. That's the end game. We got to start with the build-up. You don't, and that's been the basic story of DC on film since the beginning of the Snyderverse, right? They have wanted the ending at the beginning. They don't do any build-ups. I said this about Suicide Squad. Nobody gives a crap about these C-list villains that you never established as villains in the heroes' stories. The heroes haven't even had their stories yet. And you're throwing together these characters and saying, these villains that have been rounded up by the good guys now want to redeem themselves. Well, we don't care about them because we didn't have the build-up to them. Tell those stories first and show us those characters as villains first getting arrested. And then when you bring them up later on in a Suicide Squad movie, you're like, oh, I'd forgotten about those guys. I wondered what happened to them. Oh, they've been in Rikers Island all this time. Okay. Yeah, let's see what this is all about. Same.
Rikers Island, and what did Lex Luthor? I guess he was in a Rikers Island substitute, whatever the Metropolis version of that was. Yeah, and
right.
Ran too.
I think they call it Strikers Island or something like that in DC.
Zaslav has his work cut out from it. It's a mess over there.
Yeah, it is.
Now I'm telling you, here's my thoughts. Shazam was flawed, but it had its good points, and maybe if they could have just used Shazam as a new starting point,
and
then done this Black Adam movie, and maybe Shazam has to come in and help Superman fight Black Adam because even Superman's getting beat up by this guy. It might be a neat team up. Wouldn't that be neat? A team up movie between Shazam, Captain Marvel, and Superman. That'd be a neat movie where they're on the same side. I
would say that Mr. Mastic has been making some great points with some of the reviews and commentaries that we've been doing on some of the DC animated stuff. Yeah. They've kind of figured it out. Just make movies of those stories.
Warner Brothers should be brought up on charges of IP destruction. I can't believe how hard they dropped the ball. The animated shows were far superior. I don't know why it's so difficult for them to just... It's funny because I remember when Red Letter Media first reviewed Man of Steel. When Man of Steel came out. Yeah. And I think Mike Stokloska, he was in a theater and he was seeing this 8-year-old boy in front of him or 6-year-old boy in front of him, watching all the complicated stuff they began to move with General Zod and just all the stuff flying around, and the boy looked frustrated, like he couldn't figure out what was going on. And I'm thinking that boy is really your target audience for a Superman. You actually
Exactly.
do need to be catering to him first and then to everybody else. And
Right.
he seemed very
Exactly.
frustrated with the convoluted plot in the beginning and not understanding what was going on.
Right.
Whereas in the original Superman movie, the Donner movie, you have it's very clear what's going on. General Zod is evil. He's being put on trial. Krypton gets destroyed, and the kid gets. It's very clear storytelling in that movie,
Yep.
where it's just all over the place, and it's just Superman shouldn't be complicated.
No,
It should be
you're
that
absolutely right.
Kal-El has something in it to bring Krypton back, and they're going to turn Earth into the new Krypton because he has the gene encoded thing in his DNA or some other nonsense. Whatever they did in that Snyder movie, stop it.
Yeah.
Just give me a Superman movie. And I'll say this. I'll say this: Dwayne Johnson, he knows who Black Adam is. He knows his research.
Yeah.
He was offered either Captain Marvel or Black Adam, but he picked Black Adam because Black Adam is his favorite supervillain. He said so.
And honestly, just look at the man. He looks
like
he is
Black Adam,
perfectly cast
Yes.
as Black Adam.
Yeah, he looks like the comic book character. So
Yep.
he looks like he was Scorpion. He looks like a guy that could have existed in ancient Egypt, which is a
Yep.
when Black Adam originally existed. I like the fact they're bringing Dr. Fate and Hawkman into it because theoretically they're Carter Hall. He's a descendant.
Right. Exactly.
So they could both, and Dr. Fate, they could both know about Black Adam when he was, I guess, the hero before he went bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Wizard said he made a mistake by giving him the power. Remember back in the day, that was a whole thing, and they could do that. And I could see this being a fascinating movie where the audience is like seeing basically like Dracula Untold, seeing this guy descending and becoming worse, and maybe he really is the villain of the story.
Let's just hope that Let's just hope that, like Dracula Untold, it doesn't completely go to caca.
You know what would be interesting? That's short with Black Adam. The cartoon short. He had been flying to Earth. Like I think the Wizard stuck him on a far off desolate planet, and I think he just been traveling in space all that time just to get back to Earth and get revenge. And it was so many years later. What if they did something like where Superman puts him in the Phantom Zone or something at the end of the movie, but he still figures out a way to get out of that because he's Black Adam, and that could be the setup for the movie where Superman and Captain Marvel have to team up and stop him.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It might be interesting. There's no reason this has to be a bad movie.
No, you're absolutely right.
There's no reason any of these movies have to be bad.
But I always caution people. I mean, it's great to have hope, but just from past experience, don't get your hopes too high because they're bound to be dashed. Let's say goodnight real quick to Mr. Matchstick. He's on his way out, but he just wants to remind everyone that he's got a Gotham Knights first impression stream coming up on the 25th.
The game coming out. I'll be curious. Yeah, that'll be interesting. My poor Xbox, that's not hooked up right now.
Well, I'm glad you said that and didn't say my poor Xbox, it's underwater and, rest in peace.
Well, you know what? I have to upgrade at some point anyway, right? I don't
go.
have the new one. I have the old one anyway. Warner Brothers should be brought up. Yeah, I don't know. I just want good DC movies.
You would think that when they have these valuable IPs, they own these IPs. The fact is they can do whatever they want with them. You'd think what they'd want to do is something intelligent that will make them money.
Zaslav understands. I already can tell that when he came in, he's saying, "Where are all the Superman movies?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like one of the most recognizable superheroes on the earth. Maybe.
But in fairness to Zaslav, he doesn't know these characters. He's not the talent. He is not the Jon Favreau type, right? He's the business guy. He knows something is wrong. He just doesn't know exactly what.
I don't care as long as he hires the right people to fix things. He doesn't have to know. He just has to know.
Let's hope he does find the right people. Dan Lin was definitely not. I'm kind of glad he's gone. I'm hoping they're going to bring someone better in. But who that might be, I just couldn't say. I don't know.
Who's directing this movie?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Let me find out. That's important. Used to be when a movie came out, I think who's directing it? Because, back in the old days, your director was a very important important character. Who's directing this movie? Let's see if we can find out. I'm going to find out here. Look at this Black Adam film. Directed by Wami Colette Sarah. Who is that?
Yeah, great. That tells me nothing.
Oh, maybe he did House of Wax 2005. Oh, he does a lot of those Liam Neeson movies. Like the one where he's on the train or he's on the plane, and there's like a killer on there, and he has to stop him, and like he throws the guy into he throws the guy
So
from the ongoing tray onto.
you're
He's an action
speculating.
movie directing. Oh, he did Jungle Cruise though. That was terrible.
You
That was
think
this.
this
He may not have had. He may not have had. He did
with The Rock though, right? So established relationship there.
That's true. To be fair though, Jungle Cruise that just might have been Disney interference. The
I would
Shallows.
suspect it really
Did I
is.
see The Shallows? Was that with Blake Lively? Oh, you know what? He's not a terrible director. He's like an action horror type director, so he may be all right for this. So yeah, we'll see. The Commuter. I had fun with The Commuter and Nonstop. The Commuter had Liam Neeson attacking a guy on a train, throwing him out the window into another oncoming train to kill him.
Awesome. Yeah, that'll do it. That will do it.
I
mean,
was on a Liam Neeson kick this year, so
I'll
The
tell you what.
Shallows.
You turn somebody's brains into raspberry jam. That'll kill them fast.
Yeah, okay. The Shallows with Blake Lively in a bikini, and she's trying to get it. She's on a buoy while there's a shark in the water, and she can't get the shore. That's the movie.
Well, hey now. Okay.
House of Wax 2005. That was
Was that the one where Paris Hilton gets impaled on a piece of
Yes.
rebar? Yeah, that's the only thing I remember about it. That was worth the price of admission.
that funny man. Anyway, that was not a bad remake considering. I mean, I gave him points for at least doing his own movie and not just trying to do a straight up remake of the original. I mean, I like the fact that his House of Wax, the actual house, was made out of wax in that movie. That I don't know. It might. I'm not saying the movie will be good, but he's not an incompetent director.
Stephen Ransom says, never forget that the CW stuff was driven by the recent buyout. They openly said they were depreciating the property. And I think that might actually be the best argument I've heard for the thing that I've railed about for so many years, Warner Brothers not allowing their peas and carrots to touch, right? So nothing that they did on TV had any bearing on what they did in film or in comics or in their animated universe. So all they depreciated was their television properties, which sucked anyway. So nothing was lost there.
I don't. Well, frankly, I think they overstretched themselves because in the old days it was just Smallville, and then they had to have like 110 different. And then they would do crossovers where you had to watch all four of them. It's just.
I have said over and over again, if they had built off of their success with Smallville, I think they kept Smallville around way too long. They kind of ran it into the ground. It shouldn't have gone more than 8 seasons. They took it to 10, and they should have done spin-offs from it, and they didn't. So, honestly, that was where I stopped watching CW DC stuff. When they put out Arrow, and it wasn't the Arrow from Smallville, I said, I'm not reinvesting now. And all these years later, I'm glad I didn't. And you can tell me all you want about how their Clark and Lois is so good, or their Superman and Lois, or whatever it is. Don't care. I am not investing in any more CW bullshit.
I don't know. I like the actors they cast as Superman and Lois on the new show. I couldn't get into it from the pilot, but here's the summary for Black Adam on IMDb. Nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods and imprisoned just as quickly, Black Adam is freed from his earthly tomb, ready to unleash his unique form of justice on the modern world. It's not the Egyptian gods. It's a variety of gods, right?
Yeah, but yeah. If as I recall, Black Adam was
Hermes one. And the
No,
Wisdom
no,
of
no, no.
Solomon, that's
You know, that was a different pantheon that they drew on for Captain Marvel.
I didn't
It was the
realize.
Egyptian gods for Black Adam, because it's Black
Oh.
Adam. It spells out the letters of Anubis and this and that and the other. Yeah.
Oh, never
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
then. Okay, all right. So it was a
Yeah,
different thing. Okay, I didn't realize. I thought he had the same thing that Shazam had. Okay.
I mean, it
So
came
those are my
through
go.
the same wizard, yes, but he drew on different pantheons for those
Okay,
abilities.
good to know.
Yeah.
But let me see.
Yeah, no, those things, those elements don't are doing okay. I'm fine with that so far, and it does sound like there's that whole dark justicey type thing, the anti-hero. Yeah, I could see him coming to blows with heroes of
I don't
the
want him
modern
to be
age.
the anti-hero. I want that to be what the audience thinks.
No.
Keep
Keep in mind,
the villain of the movie.
when I say anti-hero, I mean literally the opposite of a hero. He thinks he's a hero. He is actually a villain.
Yeah, well, a lot of villains think that. But again, I
And
think
that's also why I don't like them applying the term anti-hero to someone like Batman. No, he is absolutely a hero. When you make him an anti-hero, when you let him kill, when you let him use a dubious morality, that's not Batman. That's your idea of what a vigilante should be, and that's not a hero.
I'm trying to think who I would apply to term anti-hero to. Maybe Conan. Maybe like Dirty Harry, or maybe more so the Man with No Name, Clint Eastwood character. Like,
I think
guys that still have a code, but they're not squeaky clean. You understand? It's like
Punisher is the one that they usually use for the term anti-hero. But they are not heroes. They are villains. They absolutely are. But they are villains that, unfortunately, you can kind of see why they are the way they are. You know? Not just evil for evil's sake. They're evil for justice sake, I suppose, is how you'd look at it.
And don't get me started with Strange New Worlds. Let Star Trek go boldly where no one has gone before, peacefully to rest.
I agree.
Have you seen Strange New Worlds? I heard it was the best.
Nope.
Of the new ones, but I don't know because I didn't bother watching it. Like,
I mean, calling something that comes out of JJ Trek the best of the JJ Trek, that's kind of like saying my bowel movement was pretty clean and didn't smell too bad.
How did they handle Kirk on Strange New Worlds? That's what I'm curious about.
They recast him, and I don't think that the recasting, I don't know if they actually showed Kirk or not. I know that the actor was brought in originally to play Samuel Kirk, who was, of course, Kirk's twin brother who got killed in the original series. But no, I have no interest. They have completely. It's not even on the Enterprise, okay? I mean, the Enterprise is in the frickin' Smithsonian for a reason, okay? The ship is iconic. That is the technology. Deal with it. If you don't deal with it, it's not the Enterprise. It's just not. That's all I have to say about it.
Sorry, I for some reason when I was looking at the Black Adam poster, I got a poster of Linda Carter.
Oh, I could see that being a little
That distracted
distracting.
me.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
I can see that.
I don't know how someone can be that beautiful. It's like, geez, maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll realize that Linda Carter was really an Amazon princess in real life, right? I don't know, but
Yeah, possibly.
Punisher is an anti-hero. Yeah, Punisher Warzone. Have you ever seen Punisher Warzone? Have you ever seen
Yep.
Punisher Warzone?
Yep. Yes,
That's
I
a
have.
wonderful, wonderful Marvel movie.
It is. Honestly,
It was for Disney and Marvel.
I would argue that the fan film Dirty Laundry was also very, very good.
Yeah, I have to see that. But what I liked about Punisher Warzone is just how ridiculously awful the villains are. Yes, you have Jigsaw and Looney Bin Jim, and in fact, the trailer for the Punisher Warzone, it was brilliant because it's. You see, like the Punisher, and like there's like I guess he's setting a bomb, and like there's this room of criminals on the other side that he's going to blow up. You can see it in the trailer. Anyway, I don't know. Plus, that Newman from Seinfeld was in it, as I guess. I don't know.
There you go. That might be a draw for some people.
I don't know. Never
mind.
But
anyway,
I'm tired. Okay, what do you got going on this week? Anything left to say about Black Adam?
I got nothing else left to say about it, but I will keep everyone apprised. I mean, I will say that some of what you've said about it has me considering maybe this is a pivot for the DC universe, so maybe I might be returning with this, but I'm not holding my breath. I'm really not.
Make a good movie, Warner. Make a good DC movie. Just do it. You can do it. Just make a good movie. Stop with the bullshit. Yep. Make a good movie.
So, unfortunately, I'm guessing he's not here in the chat any longer. I would have, liked to have had Soundtracks with Birdman let us know if he's got his Batman stream tomorrow and his.
I believe he does.
Okay, and then of course Wednesday night he's got some sort of a rewatch, maybe.
Probably without me because I don't have internet still at the main house.
Yeah,
but we'll see. I feel awful. I don't know if he's been doing the horror movies without me, but I don't know.
I believe no Mr. Matchstick this week. We just had one last week. No. Hopefully by the time we get back around, you'll be able to join us again for that.
I'm hoping for my life to become semi-normal. It's never going to be completely normal for a few months, but I'm hoping at least so I can to get my evenings free and just get back to regular streaming like I was. But Birdman Show tomorrow is on the horror scores of Jerry Goldsmith. Okay, yes.
Oh, there you go. And that brings us around to Friday, where my very special guest will be a Geek Talk, and we will be talking about gaming and streaming. And I understand you may or may not be able to make it. That's perfectly fine. But if you can make it, Aged Boomer,
I'll just hop on. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Just you can even.
I will.
Yeah, you can even let me know last minute. I think this particular guest, I think you would really enjoy. So even if it means you have to just catch the stream afterwards and subscribe later, I think this would be right up your alley. I think you'd be very interested. Which brings us, of course, to Saturday. Big Al Presents Films with Friends. We will be doing a watch party of the 1970 whatever it was film Piranha. Which he is billing as a horror comedy. I never realized it was a comedy because when I saw it, I was just scared crapless as a kid. But something tells me it's probably not as scary as I remembered it when I was like 8 years old or whatever it was. So,
Steven, it was meant to be a riff on Jaws.
Right. That's what
Spielberg saw it, was so impressed with it that he hired, I guess, Joe Dante. He says, "Do you want to direct Gremlins? I'm producing this movie, Gremlins. You want to direct it?" I think that's how they got to work on Gremlins.
Well, if that's how Gremlins came into existence, then we should all be cheering for Piranha then, and be glad of it. So, yep, and then we'll watch that on Saturday, and of course I will provide a Cosme link for those that don't already have their own copy, so that you can watch it off platform with us and hang out and watch the movie together, which will bring us back around to Geeky Geezers next week, where we will bring you the whatever's going on this week in geek news, and
hopefully I will be able to do a stream next week, and I'll try to. I'll put it.
And if you can't, Netter and I will just jump in and substitute.
I'll try to make it a point. It would be a lot easier if internet would get restored in my hometown. This is ridiculous. The storm's been over for a few weeks now. Get the internet back up, people. But yeah, I should be able to do a stream.
Or maybe get in contact with Elon about a Starlink or something like that.
I don't know. Supposedly I did this thing where I was supposed to turn my phone to a hotspot, and it's saying, "Oh, your data usage is something." I said, I paid for like the big plan, so why are you giving me this? It's ridiculous.
Did you contact them and ask them about it?
I already was on the phone with them once to get it up and running, and then it's just never mind. It's just
Yeah,
I just
can
needed that
understand
back. But maybe I'll be in the guest house next Sunday night, so that's an idea. Birdman show tomorrow will be in the Source like Jerry Goldsmith. Yes, he's very good. Oh, look at this. The Netflix Daredevil and Punisher were some of the most accurate Marvel properties ever made. Well, now you have the same actor who played Daredevil on the She-Hulk, right?
In other news, yeah, I don't even want to talk about that.
I saw a screenshot where he's just walking around town, and I guess
he's doing the walk of shame is what that is. That's what it is. Yeah, Critical Drinker does, that originally, and he shows the original hallway fight, which was just a masterpiece. Yeah. It was a masterpiece of fighting choreography. And then he says, and now we have, and it shows him doing the walk of shame, leaving Jennifer Walters' apartment in the morning. It's like, yeah.
So Disney basically took what was good about the Netflix stuff, and now they've screwed that up too. That's basically what they've done. Okay.
Well, you wanted Cox back as Daredevil. Here you go. Yeah. Well, so in other words, you'll give us what we want as long as you can destroy it in doing it. Thanks, Marvel.
It seems to be Disney's MO lately. You know what it is? First, you have to get the people hooked on the stuff that the geeks were into, and the mainstream audiences likes it. And now that it gets popular, now you have to start tearing it down. That seems to be the MO. Same thing for James Bond. They had to get people like me into it with the Brosnan era, and now they're tearing him down. They tore him down with that last movie, definitely, where they killed him off. I don't know. It's just I don't get it. And if we're heading for hard times, like I said, I am over this BS at this point. You either entertain me or you go home.
Yeah. Done. I mean, it's going to get to the point where we're going to have to decide whether or not we spend our extra money on, K rations, because we're...
Yeah, streaming costs money. That's money you can spend on other things like food.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, have a good night, everyone. Glad you're okay, Boomer. Thank you. And I appreciate all the well wishes. Thank you. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but we're hanging in there, and I'm hanging in there, and just hopefully, like I said, things will start to get back to more normalcy as time goes on. Okay.
Yep. Alrighty.
All right. Y'all have a good night. Thank you again, Troy, for helping me out this week.
Of course.
Next weekend, if I can do a stream, we'll do 5 stories or maybe 6.
Well, there we go. We'll shoot for the moon.
Shoot for the moon. Catch you later. Bye.
Take care. Bye bye.